Warm welcome to all of you once again for joining us today for the World Accreditation Day celebrations. As you're all aware that the consultants forums, we have been organizing regular knowledge events, and most of you who have been attending the sessions regularly over the last 5 years. You must know that the June month knowledge series is an annual affair, and this is the month where we celebrate Environmental Day, and then Food Safety Day, and then World Accreditation Day. Then we do another round of series during the month of October when we create some conversations around World Standards Day. Our longest series is actually the month of November, where we celebrate Quality Month throughout the month with multiple sessions, sector agnostic sessions, very focused programs for sector specific conversations. So this today's session is actually the last session in the June month series. As I was mentioning in the previous sessions also, the themes that are designed for all these key milestone days are very interesting this year, be it for World Environment Day or World Food Safety Day or this World Accreditation Day. Very interesting themes which are futuristic and then which are also kind of, I would personally think, are designed based on the marketplace needs, or maybe after observing the gaps at the marketplace. So from consultants forums, we create regular conversations on standards, certifications, and regulations related to the management systems. All our focus is actually on management system standards and various other international standards. So today's session, World Accreditation Day, the theme which is designed globally is how do we empower small and medium enterprises through accreditation. So this is the global topic, and we have designed a program outline based on what we have been observing as gaps or as problem statements in the Indian market and also in the international market, at least across a few countries. We also exchange some information with fellow consultants and fellow experts from the other markets. So some of these points and pain points are the same across the globe, at least in some markets, and the challenges remain the same. And we all know as consultants that SMBs actually form a major chunk of the enterprises across the world, be it US or be it any advanced economy or emerging markets. 60 to 70% of the businesses are actually from this domain, a small and mid-sized businesses segment. So the large or the medium businesses form, when they constitute hardly about 15 to 20%. At least I'm talking about the Indian scenario where we don't find large or medium businesses constituting more than about 10-15% of the market share. Rest of the market share is actually with the micro and small businesses. But the definition of a micro or a small, what is defined in India and what is defined elsewhere, the business maturity differs. So we have a scenario in the country where we have large enterprises with a different specification, medium-sized enterprises with a different specification, and the gap between this large and medium to a micro and small is too huge. It's too huge a gap actually in terms of their business maturity, their competencies and capabilities. But these are the businesses which are part of the supply chain. This micro and small businesses are part of the supply chain of large enterprises or even medium enterprises. With the kind of foreign investments that the country is attracting, especially after COVID, especially after over the last 2-3 years, we are seeing a massive flood of investments happening in the country, both in the manufacturing sector as well as in the services space. In services space and sectors like capability centers, like GCCs is what we call them as global capability centers. the number of investments that are happening through this global capability centers are immense. The IT investments to strengthen the digital services are immense. Similarly, at the same pace, or I would say at the double the pace, we are seeing massive investments in the manufacturing sector across various sectors and various segments. Like I'm from Chennai, and of course, we are from Tamil Nadu, and we are seeing the kind of investments that are happening here in the manufacturing space because Tamil Nadu is known as the manufacturing hub of the country with the largest factory pool. So, be it on the services, even the state attracts a lot of global capability centers. So, when all these new sectors are entering into the market, new investments, new global players are coming into the market, there is an ecosystem which is available. For this small and micro businesses, to be part of this global supply chains, the competencies and the capabilities, whether they are sufficient or they need to kind of improved, strengthened, is something which only in the long run we will come to know. Even our country's policy maker, Niti Aayog, made a statement just about 2 months ago that they are focusing more now on strengthening the medium segment of enterprises in the country, and the focus is actually to strengthen them to become large players. For micro and small businesses, a lot of investments are being pumped in by the government to strengthen their technical infrastructure, their competencies and capabilities. So with this kind of a marketplace scenario, what we are seeing is immense opportunities for the small and micro businesses, or even medium-sized businesses for that matter. So most of the investments are actually in the regulated sector. So most of the sectors are also slowly coming under regulation. Almost many sectors are under regulation even in India. So the regulators are also started tightening their market surveillance programs, their assurance in the form of licensing initiatives, and because based on the market feedback, buyers feedback, consumers feedback. So with this kind of tightening of the regulatory structures in the country also, what is happening is the regulators are also through their inspections are picking up gaps in the technical infrastructure and the competencies of the people, and a lot many things they're being flagged of late, asking the businesses to improve and strengthen all this. So the regulators are relying extensively on the third party conformity assessment in the regulated sectors. Even otherwise, businesses prefer and choose many of the certifications voluntarily because they are into exports or they are part of the supply chain of large businesses. So it is the buyers who make this kind of a demand, and they come up with their wish list on the certifications that the businesses have to implement on a voluntary basis outside the regulatory framework. So the businesses on one front, they are catering to the mandates of the regulators. On the other side, they are choosing many of these voluntary programs based on their business needs and business requirements. And what we have observed at the marketplaces, too many operators, too many players. In fact, I just picked up the data from IAF last week. There are close to about 160 certification bodies which are operating in India. And these are as per the IAF registry. So outside the registry, it may be a 3x or a 4x. That's a debate. So too many players operating, players who are accredited certification bodies, and then non-accredited, and even the accredited certification bodies parallelly running non-accredited programs. All of us must understand that consumers don't understand any of this. They only know if the product is working, if the service level quality is good or not, and all these things. Otherwise, consumers don't know any of this actually. The conformity side of it, only accreditation bodies know, certification bodies know, and your inspection bodies know. And even as consultants, we don't know the conformity assessment structures of the ABs or the CBs or the IBs, what the standard says, and what kind of a specification that you have to meet. So, and there are so many certificates in the market floating around, in a loose format. There are genuinely, once people really, businesses have implemented, worked very hard towards it. And there are businesses which are simply flashing certificates, which are even fake, which are fraudulent, which are not authentic actually. So there's no tracing and tracking mechanism. Only IAF came out with a registry now after COVID. Even prior to that, nothing was available. So there has to be a tracing and tracking mechanism. So the buyers keep asking every day, is the certificate genuine? Where do I go and check it? Now every conversation today is only on this. There is a certificate somebody has issued. So I've given it to the business. Business has rejected it, or before I submit it to a business, can I check whether it is authentic or not? So keeping all this marketplace changes, I mean the challenges we have and the problems that we have observed, we have designed the topic today. All this program topics that are designed today are based on this. So today we have actually about four speakers today. We did receive regrets from one speaker last night. So we have one session on the trust divide between accredited and unaccredited certificates, which will be addressed by Dr. George, followed by a session by Dr. B.K. Rana about how accreditation helps global access for the businesses, followed by a session by Harpreet ji, our fellow consultant, who will be talking about what drives businesses choose all this a fraud certificates or a fake certificates or the certificates which are not authentic. And finally, by a session by a legal professional, Mr. Vishwanath, who will be talking about touching upon this biggest problem at the market. Businesses continue to buy fraud certificates, and they're printing the same on product labels. So product labeling claims are also happening with all those certificates and logos. Regulators actually are not checking any of this. Certification norms, we were told that they don't allow this claims on the product labeling. This is something which came to know through the certification conformity assessment experts, saying that product claims, labels cannot carry this certification claims. These are not allowed. And then consumers, as I said, they don't know any of this. So when certain things are not allowed to be claimed, or displayed, or to be claimed by the businesses continue to claim, there has to be some legal enforcement that should happen. So this is the topic which Mr. Vishwanath will be addressing. So we will just start the session with the first speaker today. Aarti, can I have the PPT, please? Session host Suhas ji will join us a little later because he had to step out for some time. He will be joining us, so I'll be managing the conversation. I'll be moderating the session today. Second slide. No, prior to this, one before this. Yeah, this one. So let me introduce Dr. George Anastopoulos. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it correctly or wrongly. So we welcome Dr. George. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. And in fact, I would like to thank all the speakers for joining us today and all the delegates also for being part of this. So Dr. George represents Perry Johnson Laboratory Accreditation from US, and he is the technical and International Business Development Manager from PJLA is what shortly it is called. So he has a lot of experience and carries a lot of expertise in the conformity assessment and accreditation domain. So he has extensive experience in the accreditation systems, conformity assessment programs, to various ISO and IEC standards, specifically with reference to all the 1702, 170 series actually, and then 17065 also. And he's actively representing, is an active representative in many forums like IAF, ILAT, APAC, and ISO CASCO meetings and all that. And he's also he is connected to personal certification programs and competency assessment programs. So there are specialized international personal certification standards. In fact, these are picking up even in India also. Validating the authenticity and competencies of the people and the qualifications and their competencies. So this personal certification standards and then accreditation systems, psychometric methods, competency testing and examination systems. He's well versed with all these structures. And he's also connected to quality and management systems to various standards, materials and mechanical testing, and skilled in composite and plastic fabrication, mechanical testing, material characterization. I think these are all based on various international standards. And his specialities are basically from into accreditation and auditing, personal certification and competency testing, risk analysis and crisis management, quality control and TQM, research and mechanical testing. So these are all the things which we could pick up from his profile in the public domain. So over to Dr. George. We would like to invite you to share us your thoughts and perspectives. So thank you for joining us once again today.
Thank you very much, and it is a pleasure to be invited to this event from the Consultants Consortium of Chennai. It is always a pleasure either visiting India or participating on remote events with my good Indian friends, and many of them are with us today. So I'm thanking you, and I'm also wishing you a happy Accreditation Day. So we are celebrating together, all together today, the world of the day of World Accreditation, and I believe that this is a relatively new, I could say, celebration since accreditation became very popular the last 25, 30 years all over the world. It's growing and is supporting industries and is supporting the clients in a unique way. So I will be with you today for a short presentation regarding the uh, accreditation approach of protecting the market, as I understand. And allow me first to share my screen. Please tell me if you can see it.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Not yet. It's not open. It's
Not
not
yet.
open. Yeah, not yet.
Let me see.
Yes.
Let me see now. I will make it
Yeah.
full screen for
Yes,
you.
please.
Can you see it now full screen?
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
great. Great. So my presentation today, I'm using the general title of the World Accreditation Day, Empowering Small and Medium Enterprise. But in general, the presentation has to do about much more, and I will explain in the next few PowerPoints. First, let me introduce you myself and my organization. I'm George Anastasopoulos, and I have already listened about my competence, so I'm not going to repeat it. PGLA, Perry Johnson Laboratory Accreditation, is the company I work as a technical and international business development manager. It was established in 1999 by Mr. Perry Johnson in Troy, Michigan. I want to clarify that PGLA is not associated with PJR, Perry Johnson Registry, who is a certification body, a management system certification body. We are an independent accreditation body, independent of the PJR, and we have provided up to now more than 2,200 accreditations in 32 countries in the world, including India, of course. We are located in Michigan, in United States, and we operate offices in all over the world. You can see in the map. And we offer a series of accreditation programs. The organization started in 1999 with accreditation of testing and calibration laboratories. And you can see on the left-hand side of the PowerPoint the different approvals we have from different regulators in the United States in different types of testing. We also offering the typical accreditation programs like inspection for 17020 for inspection bodies, 17065 for product certification bodies, proficiency testing providers, accreditation of reference material producers, accreditation of medical laboratories, accreditation of personnel certification bodies to 17024, and a specific program, very special program for training providers of certificate programs. This is a very uh, special program for United States mainly. PGLA undergoes the peer evaluation with the main international association of accreditations like APAC, and we are a signatory of the APAC MLA and ILAC MRA. And I'm going to explain you a few words about that in a while. So today, I was asked to present to reply mainly to three questions. What is the trust divide between accredited and unaccredited certificates? What is the credibility gap? How to understand the difference between accredited and unaccredited certificate? And what really drives different stakeholders to choose what they choose? Now we are talking about a full market all over the world, which becomes more and more complex. And we are talking for the so-called conformity assessment world. I would first to clarify that we are talking for a fully voluntary system. So the conformity assessment structure that operates at this moment globally is not developed by governments. It may be supported or may be sponsored by government in many countries, but the conformity assessment structure is a voluntary system, and it is a system that it is operating in order to support the industry, end users, and so on, but it is not a compulsory thing. So this creates some, I could say, difficulties on controlling and survey the market that I will explain in a while. First, I would like to clarify what is conformity assessment. And since I am the first speaker today, I decided to provide you also some definitions, so all of us we are speaking the same language. So conformity assessment is the activity to determine directly or indirectly that the process, product, or service meets relevant technical standards and fulfills relevant requirements. Requirements that mainly introduced by market, industry, and many times also by regulators and government. So what is the role what is the role of the different bodies on conformity assessment, and what are those different bodies? First, the most classical conformity assessment activities that they are offered in conformity assessment are provided by testing and calibration laboratories, certification bodies, and when I'm talking for certification bodies, I'm talking about management system certification bodies, product certification bodies, and personnel certification bodies, plus also inspection agencies. Those are the typical conformity assessment bodies. Also in this structure, we include accreditation, which is, I could say, one step above the typical conformity assessment bodies. And accreditation is the mechanism that it was established to provide confidence, confidence on this whole structure. I'm jumping to the next PowerPoint, which is presenting you this conformity, international conformity assessment structure that, as I mentioned, is based on a voluntary basis. So it was not developed by specific government or United Nations or whatever, but it was developed from the market for the market. So I would like to start to explain you what is this international conformity assessment structure from the bottom to the top. So this whole structure has been developed, established to support end users, consumers, and industry. So they are assured that they are offered competent services, they are offered complying products, safe products, and good quality products. So this structure was developed by the years, and mainly in most of the countries I could see from my experience that around 2000, 1990s, 2000, we've seen many accreditation bodies developed all over the world. So who are the conformity assessment bodies? In this structure, the first to the left, you see laboratories, testing and calibration, and medical laboratories, of course. So all this group of conformity assessment bodies are operating under the standard ISO IEC 17025, which sets the requirements for them. Then we have another group that is related to products, and this is the inspection and product certification bodies that they operate to ISO IEC 17020, 17065 respectively. We have the management system certification bodies that you are very well aware because you are the association, you're the group of management system certification bodies in your region that they have to be accredited to ISO IEC 17021. We have the personnel certification bodies that they operate under 17024, and also reference material producers and the proficiency testing providers, which is a much, I could say, the new boy on the block, the new player on the block under 17037 and 17043. Now, all these standards have been developed by ISO and IEC. So they are international standards from international organization introduced by International Organization for Standardizations, and they are used by accreditation bodies all over the world to, let's say, provide guidance, provide help, provide requirements for the operation of the conformity assessment bodies. The accreditation bodies, as we know them, are located in many different countries. There are countries that they operate mainly one accreditation body for all those categories. There are countries that they have specialized accreditation bodies for each of those categories of conformity assessment bodies or groups, and you will find that on larger countries. You will see that also in United States. And we also have accreditation bodies that they operate outside of this structure. And I would like to emphasize on that, that the accreditation bodies that we know, like in India, NABL, NABCB, and so on, or PGLA, or so on in the United States and in other countries, UCAS and United Kingdom, are not the only group of accreditation bodies operating in this structure. There are different structures that they support different markets. They are accreditation systems for hospitals and health industry. They are accreditation systems for higher education, universities, and so on, that they are totally independent from that structure. So I would like to clarify that we are not the only structure. This typical ISO, as I called the from International Organization for Standardization and IF and ILAC structure, is not the only one. And as you can see, on top of accreditation bodies, we have the associations of accreditation bodies in a regional level, like APAC for Asia, Pacific region, North America, and IFILAC on international level, that they operate in order to guarantee and safeguard the credibility of this structure. And this is achieved through the peer evaluation of accreditation bodies that is performed to ISO IEC 17011. So it's not only the accreditation bodies that they are accrediting, they are assessing the conformity assessment bodies, but also the accreditation bodies under this umbrella, under this structure, are evaluated, peer reviewed under the IF and ILAC system, which are the international associations of accreditation bodies. Now, this structure is not only supported by the ISO standard, but is also supported by many organizations, associations actually, of different conformity assessment bodies and other scheme owners who are developing schemes that they are endorsed by IF and ILAC. And of course, this structure is supported by different interested parties and industry associations, plus also different regulators that they are using the accreditation of this structure to operate in their countries different schemes and programs. So this is the international conformity assessment structure that we are talking about. As I told you, is not the only one in the world. There are different similar structures for different groups and categories of industry, but this one is the most popular, is the most, I could say, recognized all over the world. And through the mutual recognition agreements of IF and ILAC, they provide a global recognition to certificates issued in a global level. And this is the big advantage of this accreditation. And this is my first reply to difference between accredited and unaccredited certificates. Certificates that they are issued under this structure, under this umbrella, are globally recognized. So you don't have to repeat your accreditation in another area of the world as long as you are accredited under this structure. And the accreditation gives exactly this global recognition strength to the conformity assessment bodies that they issue accredited certificates under the IF and ILAC structure, and they provide to their clients a real passport of recognition. So the non-accredited bodies, they don't have this strength. They are not operating under this umbrella, and the credibility of their certificates is limited to their brand. So I don't want to say that an accreditation, a certificate that issued by certification body or a laboratory or inspection or product certification that is unaccredited is not does not have any value. What I want to say is that the value of this certificate is just reflecting the credibility of the body, the conformity assessment body that is issuing this certificate. And this body, if this body is not recognized, as not accredited by anybody under this structure, automatically I could say that its value is really significant lower than the value of the accredited conformity assessment bodies. So on the first question that it was raised about the trust divide, I could say that we have technically not only two accredited and unaccredited certificates, but we have three categories. In the market, there are accredited certificates, there are unaccredited certificates, not so strong or recognized as the accredited certificate, but unfortunately, we have also the pirates of the market that they issue fake certificates. And this is an unfortunate situation that it is very strong in some specific categories on conformity assessment structure like management system certification bodies. So it is everywhere, but it is much less in laboratories or product certification or inspection, personnel certification. Unfortunately, it is strong in management systems. So the real challenge in the market at this moment is not only to distinguish accredited but unaccredited certificates, but also to distinguish fake certificates that they are dressed under the accreditation, unfortunately, umbrella. They are issued by either accredited management system or conformity assessment bodies. And when I say fake certificates, I mean certificates that they may issued by accredited conformity assessment bodies, but they don't really reflect any value. And the reason is because they are issued without any process of auditing, or they are issued under of a very weak type of auditing. And those certificates do not reflect any compliance. They don't represent any compliance of the client of the certification body. They just issued after a payment. That's all. And this is very unfortunate. So the market out there is challenging uh, all these cases. And the question you may raise is how we can stop it, how we should know. At least when you see an unaccredited certificate, unaccredited, which is the second category, is very easy to understand because it does not bear any accreditation logo. So if you see a certificate that does not bear any accreditation logo, or is bearing ambiguous accreditation logos that they are not members of ILAC and IF system, it is easy to find out. Either if there is no accreditation logo, it's definitely unaccredited. Even if there is an accreditation logo that you don't recognize, you can check on the IAF and ILAC website. You can check if this accreditation body is included on their MLA or MRA, and you can easily find out if it is a real or not accredited certificate. But the big problem comes with fake certificates that they are issuing real accreditation logos that they are issued by credible accreditation bodies that they are operating under the MLA and MRA of IF and ILAC. And in this case, the certification bodies, as I told you, in most of the cases are really and are actually accredited by those accreditation systems. So the next question is how can you control the market about it? Who is responsible to survey the market? So the term that I am introducing right now is market surveillance. The market surveillance can be performed by government, can be performed by the accreditation bodies themselves. So the difference is that the government does not have direct access on this structure, as I told you, since it is a volunteer system, except in the countries that this system is regulated by the government. Also, the accreditation bodies cannot survey a market that it's outside of their control. So I mean that an accreditation body can do control, can check their own accredited bodies, but they cannot interfere with to accredited certification bodies or other accreditation bodies. But even that is enough. And I want to say that if the accreditation bodies can perform the surveillance to their own uh, accredited certification bodies, they can safeguard the market. And the reason is that because they can find out who is issuing fake certificates, at least who is issuing and who is accredited, and then withdraw these accreditations. So in my career in accreditation that started around 2000, so the last 25 years, I had the opportunity to cooperate in Europe and in the United States with accreditation systems that they were decisive enough to survey their market in an appropriate way and identify cases of fake certificates and withdraw their accreditation and expose those fake certificates. Unfortunately, also, I've seen other situations that accreditation bodies were not so decisive, and they did perform such controls. Mainly in order just to reply to questions like, okay, and how they can do it? What is the way to do it? In general, it depends on the category of conformity assessment. The approach will be different in laboratories, will be different in management system certification bodies. But I could say that the most common way to identify fake certificates is to perform unannounced assessments, not only to the accredited bodies, to certification bodies that they are accredited, but also to their clients. So I've been involved in different accreditation systems that they had an unannounced system of visiting the clients of the accredited certification bodies unannounced, and they were checking if they have an operational system, management system, if they had all the documents of the assessment of the audit and so on. So it was very easy to identify fake certificates. So we're completing because my time is limiting and I have just a few more minutes. I could say, yes, we have accredited certificates and we are happy about them. And most of them are, we are happy and credible certificates. We have unaccredited certificates that it is easy to identify, checking if there are the appropriate accreditation logos or lack of accreditation logos on this certificate. This means unaccredited. And then the most difficult situation is the fake certificates that they destroy the market and they are the real cancer on the market. Also, it is very unfair for the credible certification bodies that they have to compete with certification bodies that they issue just Xerox copies of papers that they call them certificates. Now, regarding the credibility gap between accredited and unaccredited certificate, I could definitely say that the big difference is competence and impartiality. Accredited certificates guarantee at least when they are legit certificates, that there is the conformity assessment body is competent to provide its service, and it is also impartial. Those two elements are not guaranteed in unaccredited certificate because nobody is controlling the unaccredited certification bodies. So building credibility needs these different levels of controls. And as I explained you in conformity assessment structure, it's not only the conformity assessment bodies that they are controlled through the assessment of accreditation body, but it's also the accreditation bodies who are controlled through the peer evaluation process of ILAC and IAF and APAC. So this structure guarantees the competence and the impartiality that is not definitely there in the unaccredited certificates. And the last, I think, question that I was asked from the organizers of this event is what drives different stakeholders to choose what they choose. I made this small PowerPoint-like game that say connect the dots. So on the right, we have the different stakeholders. Those are the different stakeholders in conformity assessment. It can be the conformity assessment bodies, it is the end users, it is professionals, it's the industry, trade associations, regulators, and governments. And all these entities, all these stakeholders are looking for credibility and trust, safety and quality of products, international recognition of the certificates, competitive advantage, regulatory compliance, operational improvement, and of course, risk, manage their risk, control their risks. So this is what really drives the different stakeholders to accreditation. All these elements that they are presented on the left-hand side of my PowerPoint are really what the stakeholders are looking and they are expecting of a credible system of conformity assessment. So following the accreditation roadmap that it is presented here, I'm not going to explain. I believe that all of you are familiar with the road to accreditation. I could definitely say, yet, yes, the roadmap to accreditation is the ones that guarantees to certification bodies, laboratories, and the other conformity assessment bodies the validity of their certificates and provides them a certificate that it is a certificate of accreditation with real value and global recognition. So I would like to thank you. As I can see, my 20 minutes are over. I would like to thank you for your attention. I think there is a round of questions at the end of the first group of presentations, and you can see my email in the PowerPoint. You can copy my email, and please feel free to contact me by email if you have any questions, if you need any clarification or support from PGLA and myself in person. I would be happy to reply to your questions and provide any clarification it may need it. Thank you very much once again, the Consultants Consortium of Chennai for inviting me, and I will proceed back to the chairman. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. George, for that crisp and crystal clear presentation. You have actually touched upon all the pain points, and you have also given some suggestions about how to address the same. Uh, as I was mentioning earlier, and I keep mentioning this repeatedly, the frameworks of conformity assessment bodies, the structures, your standards are different from what the standards that industry uses. So what the structures allow, they don't allow. What is prescribed is not prescribed. Only your peer group will know, not the end users or not the users as industry who use your standards or advocates, people or the brand ambassadors like us consultants also. We don't go deeper into this. The problem lies with the assurance tax in the market. That is something which all of us are trying to find solution. Assurance coming from the regulators in the regulated sector on quality and safety. Anything going wrong, the first level of assurance comes from the regulators. All the subsequent assurances by third party agencies are all different. So you have actually that structure, international conformity assessment structure, that is actually informative. That's a very nice uh, a flowchart diagram that you have shown. And the slide on this trust divide, when there are multiple players operating at the marketplace, uh, when they are offering accredited certificates, unaccredited certificates, fake or the fraud certificates, all players are at the marketplace. And trust divide is actually because of this multiple certificates, and nobody knows what is accredited, what is unaccredited, what is a fake. The fake or the fraud, we really don't know whether somebody is issuing or these are actually are printed by the industry themselves. Nobody knows. All it requires is a maybe a printer at office. And I like that in your presentation, you showed that the trust divide has some solution like a very strong market surveillance. That's a good solution. But who should do the market surveillance is again a debatable question, which we are all debating at the marketplace. Surveillance by the accreditation body or the surveillance by the certification bodies. Who is responsible for the market surveillance? Credibility gap, again in your slide, you have actually showed impartiality, again, which we are discussing on a regular basis, on a daily basis in our consultants forums. And I also would like to add conflict of interest to that. And this conflict of interest is something which the conformity assessment structures have not understood, or honestly speaking, they want to feign ignorance. We really do not know. That is also a challenge that we are finding it. But all these things, again, going back to, boils back to the question, how much of this your end users know who are the consumers? The users know who are the industry, who use all those standards actually. Now, whose responsibility it is to protect the end users and the consumers? Who will do the market surveillance? So, whose responsibility it is to protect the consumers? If it is the regulators' responsibility in the regulated sectors, then they need to have very strong controls on this, because regulators don't prescribe any third-party certifications themselves. They just leave it to the industry, because regulatory structures, licensing, at least in India here, for some sectors, they don't even specify. So businesses need certifications because that is to showcase their competencies. So again, your presentation, when you were presenting it, made me wonder. We're talking about accredited, unaccredited certificates. So as an accreditation body, you are accrediting the certification bodies. Maybe the ISO framework does not allow an accredited certification body not to issue an accredited certificate. Maybe ISO structure would have defined it. How about other structures like ISQA or any other international structures? So do they allow the accreditation bodies to allow parallelly run unaccredited programs if it is an allowed structure? So that global consensus standardization is required between all these bodies, because we are seeing sector specific programs happening at the market, sector to sector, different frameworks. So actually your presentation really through nice insights on all this. Every slide that you have presented was powerful and it's good. So that also made us think, and very crisp presentation. We would like to thank you for this. We would like to go back to some of these questions towards the end, and we need solutions from all of you. Okay. So we will just move on to our next speaker. Before that, actually, I just would like to quickly introduce. I saw Mr. Chanda. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Mr. Sunil has mentioned, wanted to know. So I let me introduce myself. I'm Rama Venugopal. I'm the president of Consultants Consortium of Chennai. Basically, a management consultant with 3 decades in consulting. I understand my training and my grooming was slightly different. I'm groomed and trained by a chartered accountant. So my ability to understand corporate reporting structures and corporate financial systems and corporate systems comprising of your non-corporate financial systems, like all this certification standards and technical regulations. I have a fair understanding. I understand both the structures. And so at least when I get into an advisory mode with industry, I try to balance both, because I'm a strong believer that corporate reporting has to be unified, whether it is a financial system structure or a non-financial system structure. Businesses corporate reporting should be integrated. That will actually give more value to this. This is where the battles on ESG that we are seeing at the marketplace Structure is from the financial side. Technical regulations have got the standards and the frameworks. They have the standards and the frameworks. So unified reporting, single reporting, integrated, add more value to all the stakeholders. So I just wanted to quickly introduce myself, and somebody was asking, somebody said Chennai ma'am. So Chennai ma'am is Rama Venugopal. Okay, thank you. Aarti, can we have the next slide, please? PPT. Yes, Dr. Rana. One second, I'm just opening the. One second, Doctor. I just wanted to see your session topic. Yeah, perfect. So let me just move on to the next speaker. We have Dr. Bhupendra Kumar Rana. We call him as Dr. Rana. And he is the CEO of Quality and Accreditation Institute, which is known as QAI at the marketplace. So Dr. Rana has um, a vast experience in this domain. So he is the former director of NABH, which is from Quality Council of India, served as vice chairman and chairman of ISQA, which is an accreditation council for healthcare entities. And he's a director on ISQA board, and he's president of Asian Society for Quality in Healthcare, which that is ISQA, and currently director on its board and chairman of the technical committee. And so he's been contributing a lot in the international arena, and he's recognized as an ISQA expert. He's a member of WHO's International Steering Committee for Patient Safety, and he's an external consultant for WHO in hospital accreditation programs, and he's also an expert assessor for Clean Development Mechanism, the CDM programs under UNFSCC. His expertise is in standardization, quality, accreditation bodies for laboratories and healthcare providers. He is an external quality assessment, external expert for quality assessment schemes, implementation of various standards like 17025, 15189, and ISO IEC 17043. And achievements like his first Indian expert on ISO 15189 and also on ISO IEC 17011, APLAC evaluator for food and medical labs. He is a PhD in biochemistry by qualification with a diploma in German and a postgraduate diploma in healthcare and hospital management. He has a lot of publications to his credit and speaking engagements. Dr. Rana speaks regularly in various forums, and we must thank him because he's the first person always ready to be part of this knowledge initiatives from our consultants forums. He's been supporting us for the last 5-6 years. Whenever we do all this key milestone day conversation, he always participates and brings his perspectives. So thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Rana. Over to you now.
I just want to add, Dr. Rana was my teacher in the second MBH exam.
Okay.
And he made me write doctor's exam. I still remember it, and I managed to pass. I really thank him for his efforts.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Rama Madam, for a kind introduction. Thank you, George, for your opening presentation. And I think a couple of things are already covered in George's presentation in one of the slides. So I think little easier for me, but anyway, I will try my level best to give the perspective on the topic I am asked to present on. Let me get it to the slide. So is it up?
Yeah, clear, very clear.
Okay, great, thanks. So Rama have asked me to talk on how accreditation helps global access for businesses. And I think that was George, I think second last slide was all about. As Rama mentioned, QI is a new player in the accreditation field, came into being in 2017, but already gained international recognition by APAC and ILAC in the laboratory space as well as in healthcare space by International Society for Quality in Healthcare. We have 4 verticals for providing different types of services, clearly defined, isolated, delineated from each other. Just to give a benefit of this presentation, because I'm not sure with background of all the people who are attending this event. I know this World Accreditation Day is actually the brainchild of IAB and ILAC. But when I came into healthcare, recognizing because I had the background of ILAC IF, and then in healthcare I said why not it is extended to healthcare as well, because accreditation is accreditation. So I think I remember I started the first World Accreditation Day in healthcare in 2017. So just to give an outside that we also provide accreditation to healthcare facilities in all sectors, which comes in pre-hospital, hospital, and post-hospital care. I'm not expecting you read it, but this is the menu which we have in healthcare, 20 accreditation standards which we have developed over the last 6 years, starting from a clinic to a tertiary care hospitals. And in laboratory space, in conformity assessment body space, we have a standards program for ISO 15189 for medical lab, a recognition program for medical lab based on Clinical Establishment Act, which is the minimum standards for medical lab in India, and then also for testing and calibration as per 17025. Biobanking 20387. I'm very pleased to say we were the first to start ISO 20387 biobanking accreditation program in India. And we still, I think we are the third or the fourth in numbers, though we have only 4 biobank accredited. But after US, A2LA, and seen as China, I think we are on number third. And also for 43 for PT and RMP, 34 standards, and inspection bodies as per 20. Yes, we are a PAC and ILAC for testing, calibration as per 17025 and medical as per 15189, and planning to add the other scope 20, 30, 34, 43 in our re-evaluation according maybe the next year this time. India's second largest accreditation body in laboratory space, which we can say geographically, very happy to say we are in 11 countries at the moment. So we have testing and medical laboratories accredited, testing, calibration, and medical laboratories accredited in 11 countries, and it's growing. And there are requests from some other countries already in process. This is our gold seal, mark of sustained quality. Once QI accreditation is granted, they can use this mark to showcase their achievement. Now, coming to the topic, how accreditation helps global access for business. And before I take it to just to reiterate and remind everyone, what is accreditation? Not going by the definition of ISO, but in essence, what accreditation does, how it helps. So accreditation is a powerful tool for excellence in conformity assessment, whether it's testing, inspection, and or certification. It helps playing a critical role beyond meeting compliance requirements. So whether it's regulatory compliances, whether the compliance to a set of standard, whether it's 17025 or 15189, but if you continue utilizing these standards for accreditation over a period of time, by way of your experience, by way of learnings you achieve over last several years being accredited, I think you can use that knowledge and experience to go beyond accreditation towards excellence. It also directly enhances operational performance, product integrity, and customer satisfaction. And I think these are the 3 keywords about the operational performance, which are mostly related to efficiency and effectiveness of any system. So the accreditation process put in place really helps in increasing the efficiency and enhancing the effectiveness, and hence increasing the operational performance of an organization. Obviously, the product or maybe services, when we talk about 1720, the integrity is really gone up, because there are defined processes, defined procedures, and laid down structures in place to demonstrate the credibility of any conformity assessment. And obviously, at the end user is the customer, get more satisfied, because it's not just satisfied because they get what they need, but actually they get what they should be getting. There is a difference in making customers satisfied is what they need and you give them, but you give them what they should get them. So there's a difference. Need may be wrong as well. So thus we need to be very careful in meeting the customers' requests, demands, and needs, which actually should be on an integral part. So when we say that, talk about the process for accreditation and how it helps organizations build over a period of time, so it really supports uh, consistency and technical rigor of the processes being put in place by any conformity assessment body. It because the standard for accreditation require adherence to defined standards, methods. They also require participation in interlaboratory comparisons and proficiency testing, which is a mean of establishing the credibility and the correctness of the results, the outcomes of any conformity assessment body. And one of the most critical component of any cab is basically equipment, and that gets done because the standard required to maintain the equipment require calibration to be done of those equipment to ensure the correctness of the functioning of the equipment. It also helps laboratories or conformity assessment bodies for that matter to bring greater consistency in results. So that's what we call is repeatability and reproducibility of the results. So when we talk about the getting results in a shorter period of time, it's about repeatability, and then over a period of time, it's about reproducibility, which brings the consistency in the results, and that also gives the confidence to the user of those results. It helps minimizing variability and increasing the reliability. So consistency, minimization of variability, so lesser the differences, and increasing the reliability. So the people can rely on those results on an increasing basis because they are assured that the results come from in an institution or in a body, a CAP, which has the processes in place which are checked on a regular basis. There is something called a process to look at the critical values and critical results in order to justify whether they really comes out as they should be. So it really helps in the building the reliability over a period of time. And it supports adoption of best laboratory practices because standards gives a framework, and that framework can be utilized in a way you want them to be utilized in more efficient and effective manner. So when we talk about the best laboratory practices, this can help building the best practices in terms of, as I just mentioned, about equipment maintenance and calibration, which is one of the core component of any testing process or a calibration process itself. Use of reference materials. This is another way of conforming to the requirements, bringing reliability and credibility to the results. Because we know when we compare things, when we set the process and we check the process, test the processes using certain materials whose values are defined, whose values are known, and compare that, we know that we are going on the right track. Yes, internal audits, the self-assessment, the self-evaluation process, another tool for establishing the credibility, gives the confidence to the system itself. It's not about giving confidence to others, but it's your own self. The people within the organization can really have good confidence when they know their internal audit process is very robust, and the results which are coming out of the audits are really used for making improvement. And I think that's something which is more philosophical, I would say, is like George was mentioning about authentic and unauthentic certificate. Similarly, you can do audits, like there are labs who do sync testing. Similarly, you can also do sync internal audits. But is that what you are looking for? Is that what the intention is? So if the intention is to improve, to make the results more reliable, to make the results more, acceptable, the process of internal audits are there in all the standards, which guides organizations to build the confidence in the system. So if you really do audits as you expect from the external audits, I think there is no way that you will lose out anything. You will really learn and then improve based on the results. So you should not be hiding the results if they are not good. In fact, there are opportunities for the organization to do better. Another thing is risk-based approach. And I think this is one of the fancy word being used even without understanding at times. what is risk-based thinking, what is risk-based approach, and how it can be really utilized in the entire accreditation process and in the conformity assessment, basically by the CAPs. Uh, this requires identifying potential risks to the systems from start to finish. Once you are ready to identify those potential risks, then you have to look at how you can mitigate or minimize those risks. Then you have to develop your approach, your methodologies to address. So it's about risk identification and then the risk management. And risk management includes, like I just mentioned, the identification, risk analysis, and then working on the results of that analysis to fix those things, to mitigate those things. If you can't bring down risk to zero, at least you can minimize those risks and the impact of those risks, if at all they happen. So it's a very good approach, basically, to use personal training and competence evaluation. I think this is another aspect of standard gives us very strongly. Uh, do we really train people on and off, or just once they come to you and you hire them, you use them, and that's all? There is no retraining, there is no orientation, there is no professional development. There are technical competence evaluation need to be done as per the standard, but how rigorous they are they just to satisfy the needs of standard, or you are really looking into those critical aspects which makes that person really competent? There are newer technologies coming, there are newer equipments bringing in, there are new methods being adopted. So are you really making them oriented toward those changing environment, changing technology, changing methodologies, changing equipment scenarios, all these things to make them continue current with the latest know-how and make them competent at all levels and all times. Developing novel methodology, and I think this is one thing which I feel is very strongly neglected in the lab space. Perhaps we deal mostly with the labs. We see just labs test and give the results, test and give the results. But is there any um, exploration done by labs that they need to also venture into developing newer methodologies? They use standard method, they use different method. Those methods come from somewhere, somebody really work on them and then validate it and then bring it to the practice which people uses. So I think that's, again, it may not be possible for smaller labs, but the bigger labs, the complex labs which have far reaching impacts, have complex scope for accreditation and testing and calibration. I think they should be venturing into this area as well, because they have a lot of data, they have a lot of information available from different types of conformity assessment they are engaged in. So this gives them an opportunity to look into those things and maybe coming out with some new methodologies, maybe simple methodologies, or even those methodologies we may not be existing for a kind of metrics which may come across. I think there are opportunities coming along which can be really harnessed. Then another point is about standardization across different locations. This is basically uh, for those who are operating at multiple locations. There are many corporate entities which are operating laboratories in more than one cities, even in many laboratories, even in single cities. So I think this gives them a really good opportunities to have a system for standardization. They need not to have everything replicated, duplicated. They just need to replicate one system which they have established at one point of time. So it helped them implementing uniform procedures, protocols, and making them enabler as an enabler for consistent testing quality across the board. So they get really good benefits. And we have a couple of MNCs have more than couple of labs. We have one client having more than 8 labs with us, and we see this really very, very clear that yes, one set of documentation acrossly, replicated. Each lab which is there has embedded those things, embraced those things, and then make. But it can be controlled from a single control point. And it also helps in driving continual improvement on an ongoing basis. It's about how the process can be, made more robust in terms of minimizing errors, how they can be bringing down the cost, how they can be made to bring down the waste, and also support optimized workflows, reduce bottlenecks, and deliver high quality reports in shorter timelines. Means turnaround time goes up. So faster turnaround times really help because client is happy. Client is always looking for quick results, and if you are able to meet those requests, I think that can help. So this is another advantage, enabling regulatory and customer confidence. Again, this is, yeah. So there are some areas which are regulated, some are not regulated. Within any conformity assessment body, there are certain regulations which need to be adhered to. So I think the accreditation again put it very straight that they need to comply with those regulatory requirements, and this also helps building the confidence of the client. So it's about dealing with sensitive or high stake products like food, consumer products in general, fertilizers, and many other high risk matrices. Labs really lend assurance to these because they know the results are reliable, and they can legally defense because they have all documentation. They can demonstrate that we had system in place through all those processes put in place, and also scientifically sound because they are based on evidence, they are based on standard methods or validated methods. So I think this is really another example. Now coming to the strengthening global recognition and market, how it helps, it's again coming to authentic and unauthentic. And that's why I put specifically accreditation of caps by ABs under ILAC MRA for various standards, used, ensures reports are globally recognized. And that's why mutual recognition arrangement of ILAC APEC works, that how people can really rely on results given by in conformity assessment body in one part of the world to another part of the world, because they are part of similar system based on MRA, which is based on ISO 17011 and additional requirements by regional bodies like APAC and obviously ILAC. This provides immense value to users. So clients of CAPS and users basically whose goods are targeted for international markets. So we know we have a couple of labs who are engaged in testing for those products which are being exported to US, and they are really very happy because they comply with those requirements of the importing countries. For example, formaldehyde test in wood products as per United States Environmental Protection Agency EPA, they need the US EPA approved the accreditation body. So QI is, I think, is the only body in India approved by US EPA for accrediting a lab which is engaged into formaldehyde test as per ASTM prescribed standard of US EPA, and then get into exported into US, and also for consumer safety commission, and similarly like that. So this gives the party to understand that yes, if you get this done in this laboratory which is globally recognized through this mechanism, they can really approach those conformity assessment bodies. Accreditation help clients of accredited lab comply with the stringent import regulations in markets such as I just mentioned, EU, US, etc. This not only ensures product safety, but facilitates smooth custom clearances as well. And I think that's another area which needs not much attention is when cross-border things happen, importing countries always check things whether they are safe to be getting into that territory or economy. So those things, when built on a robust system of global recognition, they get easily access to. So I think these are things. In conclusion, I would like to say authentic, I put the word very carefully, authentic accreditation gives labs a clear edge in competitive processes for different projects nationally and internationally. And I know a couple of clients who really bid for, participate in bidding process nationally and globally for several projects. And this give them a quick acceptance to participate in the process for bidding. It helps in reinforcing management's commitment to quality, safety, and global standards, while also enhancing market position and growth potential. I think this is a good tool for management also, that they are committed to high quality, safety of everyone around, and meeting a commitment to meet the global standards, which can help not only their local market but the global markets, and everyone around, which is actually community, the public, get benefited. So I think this is what I thought to cover in this presentation quickly. I hope I could do justice to the topic, Rama. Thank you, and back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rana. A very nice presentation. Short and sweet is what I would call it as. Very nice. Uh, Actually, I was just trying to see the Indian scenario, looking at things from the Indian scenario. It's good to see a change happening at the marketplace, especially in this healthcare certification and accreditation programs that the Indian market now is accepting the certification marks or assurance marks from multiple players. So we have a national board offering programs which is accredited by ISQA. We have QAI offering programs accredited by ISQA. We also have JCI operating programs, and we are seeing some more brands actually in the Indian market. And every brand comes with an ISQA accreditation tag. This was not the scenario earlier, and it's also heartening to see Bureau of Indian Standards recognizing all the, I call all of you as a Make in India accreditation brands, actually. All these brands with multiple brands with origin from India. Bureau of Indian Standard also has recognized all your programs for their licensing systems, which is also a good sign, positive sign. And this US regulator you were mentioning, is it a regulator which is accredited, I mean, recognized your accreditation?
Yeah, they call it approval. So
Hmm.
QI is approved by US EPA
Okay.
for that purpose under some CFR rules, so and so, which
Hmm.
means we can grant accreditation to a testing lab which is doing formaldehyde content in wood
Hmm.
product, which
Hmm.
can be exported to US. And so
Oh,
they will put in, we are listed on their website as well as
hmm.
in one of the approved accreditation body for that purpose.
Very nice. Actually, this is very nice gesture from the global accreditation. I mean, regulators also to recognize international brands. See, this is how the marketplace should be open for all operators and players when you all carry the same similar recognitions. And I mean, all of you are under ISCOA brand. So, only a couple of things which we will take it up with this thing. But what really makes me wonder again at the end of the day is why should a healthcare business seek multiple accreditation programs for kind of a same standard or similar standards?
I
Uh,
think you are right. There is no
Actually,
need. I think there is
it's
no need. But as you know, pardon
absolutely.
me, George, there is a always craze for something which I get from abroad, particularly from North America. You know,
Hmm.
so there's and second thing is basically is about if you get it and I will get it. It's a competition to just to show.
Uh,
But in my opinion, because of the standards are already standardized through the process of ISQA, there may
Absolutely.
be little maturity differences, but I think in general they are almost similar and overlapping. So there are not much benefits when as far the clinical concerns are concerned. Not
Hmm.
much benefit, but it's about branding. Some hospital will like say I'm accredited by multiple bodies. Somebody
So
say I'm by this for this. So this is I think more
that's
toward this rather than more on clinical
yes.
side.
Agree, agree. I'm also seeing another scenario which we will touch upon towards the end also if you're going to maybe stay with us for some more time. Because now we are also hearing another statement as consultants at the marketplace. No, I have to go for the same hospital accreditation program from the national board because there are mandates from governments, from certain departments that, the same program I should seek an accreditation only from a national board. A similar program is also offered by the same ISCO accredited one. So why is it that the structures and the systems in the
See,
country are
I think
forcing?
good question, and I think this is something wrong at the base level.
Ah,
At the beginning, should not happen because we have Competition Act, and I think every country has a Competition Act, including US, which prohibit the monopoly of any organization. And if you look at the CGHS one, where I know because I was asked to modify that in 2007, that you cannot write just one body, you have to give space for others. So that's why it says NABH or any other ISCO accredited organization. Similarly, it should be NABL or any other ILAC MRA body. There are many which are already using this terminology for giving options to other equivalent accreditation bodies,
has
but
to be.
some are not. But yes, also a fact that
It's
our
changing.
national bodies have been in existence for many, many years. So that has gone already into the mind and heads of government regulators, and they're also trying hard to get into that as well. So it may take time, but it is changing now.
So
It is changing now. Yeah.
change has to come because when a US regulator is recognizing an Indian accreditation body, why is it that the Indian system is not recognizing our own Make in India brands which have got the same recognition? And businesses are being forced to spend
Yeah.
for the multiple standards for same or similar accreditation programs, which I don't think is a healthy sign. Anyhow, we would like to thank you once again. Couple of questions we all have marked and jotted, and there are many in the chat box.
Sure.
But conversations like this need that transparency in the discussions also. So thank you so much,
Madam.
Dr.
Just
Ran.
one question.
Sorry,
quick question. One
yeah,
question.
Suhas.
It might be silly question, but that is always wondering me to ask somebody from the accreditation, especially from the NABL and NABH domain. Why, especially in the NABL and the NABH, there is always double accreditation. That means QI has the accreditation from the ILAC, and then QI is doing the accreditation of the labs. Vis-a-vis in the normal management system domain, we have the accreditation and the certification. Why they are not using the certification word?
No, Mr. Suhas, I think that is very important to understand. There is a difference between accreditation and certification. Okay, so labs are conformity assessment bodies. Certification is a conformity assessment activity. The testing is a conformity assessment activity. So the accreditation body gives accreditation to conformity assessment bodies like testing lab, calibration lab, inspection bodies, and certification bodies. And then these conformity assessment bodies do the conformity assessment. So in the certification word, accreditation body gives accreditation to a certification body, and then these certification bodies certify different organizations for different quality management systems. So it's not like they were different. In accreditation of labs, it is direct by AB to the labs, because they are the conformity assessment bodies.
But
Similarly,
again, you
the
are being
certification
authorized by
bodies.
the ILAC.
Yes.
That's where
Yes.
the confusion happens.
No, it
Because
should
you
not
are
be,
saying
because
that you are
ILAC.
accredited to the ILAC.
No, we're not said accredited to ILAC. We don't use that. We say we are full member or MRA, mutual recognition arrangement signatory to ILAC.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
question.
you. Thank you. We'll just move on to the next session now. Suhashi, since you're back now, I would request you to. I would like to introduce our session host for the day. Aarti, can I have the PPT, please? First slide, Aarti, first slide. No, before this, first one. Suhashi is the first slide. The same PPT, Aarti, first slide. Yeah. So actually, Mr. Suhas Agawani is the session host for today, but there was a medical emergency in the family. He had to be at the hospital, and he just requested me to host the session till he's back. He's back and he's joined now. So he is a fellow management system consultant, and he's a founder and managing director of this MS Excellence Services Private Limited. So he's basically a electronic and telecommunication engineer, and with also an MBA. From Mumbai University, almost close to about 4 decades of experience in the management system domain and process consulting and multiple auditing, training, multiple industries and clients across manufacturing and services sectors. So he's also a certified auditor under IRCA and Global Exemplar certified programs for multiple ISO standards. So his expertise is into actually business process revamping and strategic and driving business model excellence models in various programs on information security, data privacy. So he will be hosting from now. Only one small request I would like to make here, Suhasji. We have the next speaker as Harpreet Singh and followed by Mr. Vishwanath. So Harpreet ji, are you okay if I request Mr. Vishwanath to do the session, because sir also may have to leave. So Suhasji, now we will have Mr. T.S. Vishwanath session and Harpreet will do the final session. Okay, you can take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your brief introduction. just share my. So it's pleasure to introduce. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah.
Clear. Please
Yeah.
continue.
It's pleasure to introduce Mr. Vishwanath, who is a principal advisor ASL Legal. He has worked on the various trade and economic policies since last more than, you can say, 4 decades almost, including advising the Indian government and the industry on the trade agreement and the global economics. He is also the Director General of the Public Affairs Forum of India, founding members and the past presidents of that same organization. His expertise areas are the trade agreement, especially in the depth knowledge of the multilateral and the bilateral trade agreement. His another domain is the economic policy. He has a strong acumen to analyze the impact of the global economic policies on the overall trade. He also has the good insight into the understanding into the regulatory framework that affect the trade in the various sectors. Especially nowadays, the regulatory compliances are becoming more and more stringent. So this becomes very prime importance for a business people to understand. So the trade remedies, he specializes in the trade remedies, including the anti-dumping and the anti-subsidy measures. He has the advices on the strategies for the accessing the global market, and he engaged with the government and the industries and the association for advocating on the special policies. So with this brief introduction, I will hand over to the Mr. T.S. Vishwanath. Sir, it's your floor now. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Very clear, sir.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for accommodating me, Mr. Singh. My sincere apologies for taking your slot. It is just that I was on a holiday and I'm not in town and in Delhi. And what had happened is I have Mr. Anil Jory, who some of you may know very well. When he calls me and says I must be at a session, then I don't have much of a choice. So I said, surely I'll be the choice. So thank you very much for accommodating me here and others.
It's a pleasure, sir. It's a pleasure that by this you always remember me.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. First of all, that, and secondly, thank you very much, Ms. Venugopal, for this invitation and for calling me here. I will, unfortunately, since I've been traveling since Friday, I don't have a presentation with me. I will but speak whatever it is. And the second thing which I realize is everybody here is an expert in their area. So I really don't know what value I'm going to bring into here, because my area of work is more in the policy, and I've worked on, of course, the QCOs and regulatory. I work with BIS, I work with FSSAI. But I'm sure that my learnings are not as good as all of you, but I'll try and do my best to share whatever my learnings have been, and especially in the area that you have talked to me about, which is about the fact that we have fraud certificates and we have fraud claims that's coming up here, and how do we deal with something like that? One of the biggest things which I want to start with is this whole idea that counterfeit is not new to the world. And it is not just in one particular region or in one particular area, but you do see counterfeit happening across the globe. According to some of the estimates, it is close to about $500 billion of world trade is counterfeit. And which is nearly about 2.5 to 3% of global trade. You find counterfeit happening around the world. And primarily, I think counterfeit happens because of, I think, 3 or 4 different areas, which is one, when there is a high demand for a particular product. 2, when there is an ease of replication of a certificate or of something that needs to be done. 3, in products which have very complex supply chains, it becomes far more easier to have the counterfeit happening there. And finally, you also find counterfeit because people are not straightforward, which is at the core of anything that happens. So the idea here is that there are 2 things which happen here. One, which is done deliberately, where there is a fake certificate that is produced. and it is used by people knowing fully well that it's a fake certificate and it's a fake thing that you're putting up there. Second is when people are fooled into thinking that a certificate is right and it is therefore should be used. Now, there are various things that we need to look at from the point of view of enforcement. Importantly, what one does realize is that whenever you have anything, any kind of a fake certificate being issued, I'm going to deal more, first of all, with the fact that what needs to be done to handle maybe this fake certification. The first is, of course, the legal recourse, which all of us take, which is, going and, going into the enforcement authorities, going to the police, going to the others in terms of saying that a fake certificate has been issued. But as per, when you look at the Indian Penal Code and others, while there are some strict legal action that can be taken, which could include imprisonment, but many people would tell you that you do not see too much of an enforcement like that happening. Even when products which are fake, which are not allowed to be in the country, you find are, and which are not cleared, which have not even gone through the conformity assessment test that they need to be doing, when they do not meet the standards, they're still sold in the country. One big example of that, in which I was working with for one of the companies, was in this whole area of a mosquito coil, for instance. A mosquito coil requires that the chemicals that are used there are certified, it should be safe, and it should be done. But you do find a lot of counterfeit and a lot of fake products in the market. And it takes a long while for the authorities to kind of clamp down on them and to stop them and to make use of them and to stop this from being circulating in the market. Importantly, we found that a lot of it was circulating in the market, was getting imported across the borders from the eastern side. And that's something which then we had to work with the border security force, for instance, to try and see that how do we start the kind of trade that's happening in that area. So it's not just about a pure fake certificate. It is about products that come in because the authorities, which is like the BSF at this point of time, or the customs, were not exactly clear on what were those certificates that were required to allow those products to be allowed into the country. So one did see those products coming into the country, and one did see that they were getting sold in the country. Secondly, many of these products were getting made in very small companies across Maharashtra and Gujarat. And we found that, again, they were not even aware that they needed to take a certificate to make this happen. They were completely unaware of it, and they were working towards trying and seeing as to what kind of certificate is required. So there were these various issues which came up when we started looking at it. So as I said, the issue was not just about a company wanting to provide a fake certificate, but companies which were supplying the product were not aware that there was a need for a certification, or the fact that they were selling something which they were. And the claims on it were very clear, of saying that you just have to light it up once and you will see mosquitoes falling all around you. And this is the most effective mosquito coil that you can find in the market. And people fell for it and people did buy it. There were never a talk about what is this chemical safe? Is it okay to sell that in the market? Is it something which needs to be done? And I think that's something which was being looked at. So there are now, of course, to stop all of this, we have some of these conformity assessment places like the TIC Council, for instance, or the TUV-SUD, which already has a lot of committees in place to try and see how do you enforce and see that how do we combat counterfeiting, how do we combat fake certificates, how do we work with law enforcement and other industry stakeholders to make this happen. And one of the first things which I think we should seriously look at is maybe creating a platform for a greater understanding between the law enforcement agencies and some of these institutions to try and see that how do we ensure that the use of fake certificates or claims actually comes down. In terms of fake claims, for instance, especially when it comes to, and I want to bring in the topic here because although it may not be exactly what you're looking at, but the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, for instance, has now been working on trying and seeing how do we stop false claims from happening on social posts. Now, that's an extremely important area that requires regulation. Now, it is not just about a certificate being issued, or it's about a claim. Someone comes and says that you have this particular product and you would certainly be cured of XYZ. Now, it could be a normal product, it could be an Ayush product, it could be something else. Now, court cases can happen. There could be other products which are coming in. They may not have been tested, but claims have been made on those products. And therefore, the Ministry of Food Processing, the minister had a meeting very recently to look at some of these claims which were not right. And he's now working with even places like the Advertising Standards Council of India to try and see, because they did come up with some of studies which has happened, which is saying, should we look at some of these claims and start seeing, especially when it comes to food, because there is now this new fad that food needs to be in a particular way, you need to diet. There are people who come and say that if you eat a particular food, obesity would be taken care of. Someone comes and says your knee pain would go away. There is nothing to prove the authenticity. There is no certification that has been required. There is nothing, nobody even certifies something like this, but it is something which is there very much, and which creates a problem. So we have, in my view, we have three different kinds of problems. One, from a larger policy perspective of how do we look at certification? How do we look at claims? What is it that needs to be done? And how do you enforce it into the law? Second is, as a regulator, is to try and see that if certificates have to be issued, how do I now ensure that the person I have authorized to give the certificates is the person who's giving that certificate and not somebody else? Or if anybody else is giving a certificate, is that something that needs to be done? A third thing which I want to also bring in a larger context, as I said, I work on the larger policies. I want to bring in some of those aspects into it, is to try and see that, we find that there was a certification that's required for imported products, right? Now, when you require a certification for an imported product, you find that when that kind of a certification is required, how can it get certified? Now, to give you an example of toys, which many of you may already be aware of, the fact is that when we did come up with a quality control order on toys, and we said that therefore we would now be able to get more Indian companies to grow because this requires a certification, we still found that from a particular country from North Asia, there were products which were coming into the country and they were certified. And the idea was that we were not sure how authentic that certification was. Was it really meeting what the QCO required, and how was it happening? And the only way that we could then stop this from happening was to ensure and to say that only certain labs in India should therefore now be authorized to give that certificate to say that the product coming into the country is right or wrong. Now that it gets extremely difficult for us to check the authenticity of some of the labs which is coming. Once it is internationally recognized, it's fine. But the fact is that they did come back and say that they have been internationally recognized by some of the international organizations. So therefore, that's why they're doing it. But then it certainly didn't serve the purpose of what we wanted to do, and we looked at it very differently. So that's another aspect which we need to look at. When you look at fake certificates, when you look at claims, we need to look at, I think, several aspects. It's not just a very simple idea of saying that should fake certificates be, how should we control fake certificates, and how do we control some of the fake claims that is coming in. So for me, there are a few areas in terms of how maybe we could go forward, and I will stop there and be happy to take some questions. The first is, I think we need to look at some of the verification and authenticity of some of the firms that are providing those certificates. I think there should be a process for verification and authenticity of those firms which are providing those certificates, and try and see they are meeting with everything that they have adhered to meet even after getting that certificate. Are they not? Is it being looked at as like a business, or is it being looked at as a body that is trying to regulate and ensure that a particular standard is being met? The second is, I think there is a need for, us to move, which is already happening, which is the use of some advanced technologies. We have seen RFID tags, we have seen QR codes, and we have seen holograms to track products and verify authenticity and prevent counterfeiting from happening. But I think what we need to do is to go beyond that. Now that we have AI, can AI be brought in to try and see if that can help in controlling this menace of fake certification in terms of what's happening and how do we look at it? That's another thought that I wanted to leave with you. A third thought I wanted to leave with you was there is, I think, a need for far greater training and education of certification bodies itself. I know there must be some bodies there that must be wondering, why do we need training? But the fact is that they need to be first have training themselves, and they must then provide training to consumers, to retailers, and other stakeholders who are working with this whole area. And I think as a training program, it becomes extremely important for us to try and look at something like that. And for that, I would think there needs to be far greater collaboration. Of course, your platform is a collaborative platform. But the fact is that I think we need a collaboration between not just the industry itself, but between enforcement agencies, customs authorities, and every industry stakeholder who's required to combat counterfeiting and also share information across the whole area. You know what's happening. It has nothing to do with certification, but I just want to bring it in terms of industry, sharing information. This is, decades back when I had been to China to look at some of the two-wheeler industry, and I had gone and spoken to quite a few two-wheeler industry people, and I was making a presentation to the two-wheeler industry in India. And I realized that people there had all talked to each other at saying that I was there from India and I was having a discussion with them. That kind of information flow that happens among stakeholders there, although they may all be in business and they may be competing with each other, but the fact that there was an information flow that was happening there is something which I have constantly believed is very important, especially in something as critical as providing certificates and in terms of enforcement and things like that. Then I think there is a need to work very closely with legal and regulatory bodies, and to ensure that the counterfeiters are held accountable. It's otherwise it gets very difficult. I know. I'm not sure if the current legal recourse is something which we do have, saying that people can be put in jail for 7 to 10 years. Some people say it's up to a year. The fee that will be charged. The fine that would be charged from them would be pretty low. Is there a need to hike that up? Is there a need to have that conversation to say that if a person uses a fake certificate, or if he gives us a fake certificate, should there be any kind of a very strong law enforcement that needs to be brought in? The final thing which I will leave all of you with is this fact that there is also, I think, an extremely important point to have a lot of public awareness campaigns, not just among the industry itself, but with consumers, to say that you must look at, if you must be sure that the certificate which is coming there is not fake. The claim there is based on something which is coming from a right thing, and I think they should do that. So I will stop here. I hope I was able to provide some points in terms of the discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Viswanathan. It was very nice, logically connected points that you express in most commonly understood language or the terms. That really puts our understanding to the different level. I have one out-of-box thinking. Why not the MCA or the Corporate Affairs Ministry? They have the separate categorization of such companies, not as a regular private limited or the limited company, but kind of a different trust or something like that, where their core business values are being attached to their categorization of thing, apart from the other solution that can be worked on.
No, that's a great idea, Mrs. Suhas. I think we should then, as the forum that you're now presenting, maybe we should present that thing to the government, put maybe a short paper together on why that is important and why that needs to be done. And I think that would certainly help us in terms of getting to that area. I think that would be important for us to do.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah. Very nice presentation, and these are the different perspectives that we wanted to capture in all our conversations. I only wanted to ask again, same point, because you were also talking about some kind of checks and balances on the ones who are issuing this. There is something which we are trying to understand. All the company product labels, when you see the packaging, the claims on quality, safety are also used with ISO logos, ISO certification logos, some numbers. But we were told by the conformity assessment experts repeatedly that ISO standards do not permit use of these logos on the product labels. Now, but this is being done rampantly. Any logo you pick up. My question is the certification bodies who are accredited in India by our national board. Why is it that the national board is not acting? Why is it that the certification bodies who are auditing these businesses year on year are not checking this? Because their conformity assessment, they are subject to accreditation audits. So the standard does not permit this. Means, why are they not raising this, flagging this, questioning the businesses?
That's actually a very great question, Ms. Venugopal, because for the main reason that I have now seen is that I hope many people here won't take offense to what I'm saying now. But when we are trying to do a business, we are trying very hard not to hurt the sentiments of people we're working with. So when there is something which you feel is not really, it's a red flag, yes, but it is not going to have a huge impact. There are people who would overlook it sometimes. I hope that answers your question. And that's the reason sometimes it doesn't get flagged in the way it should get flagged. I think what is extremely important is for the government agencies, and therefore that's the reason I always look at it from a policy perspective. If you're able to push a policy saying that if you do not do something like this, if you do not highlight something like this, then it falls on the wrong side of law, then people would be far more open to kind of look at it and to maybe see it. So maybe we should drive and look for a policy that would help us to achieve something.
Similarly, with food products, we are taking for a ride. So why is it that FSSAI not sending a communication to all the licensed businesses that we will not allow any ISO logos or any ISO this thing on the product packaging, because these are not allowed as a product, this thing. That communication is not gone. Okay.
Yes.
That is why, because they are the regulators, and here there's a lot of stickiness in the whole structure of conformity assessment, because there's a stickiness between industry and certification bodies. There's a stickiness between consultants, advisors, between the industry. But then we belong to a domain where we are supposed to be extremely neutral and unbiased and work towards protecting the end user's interest. Even as a consultant, that should be our ultimate goal. But we may be working with the industry, but we need to raise red flags and put down our foot down and say no when we have to say it. This is what it is. There is a lot of B2B affair. The whole exercise is a B2B more structure it has become. So this is the reason for the trust. Today it has come to a stage, consumers are not believing anything. They are suspecting everything. So I think the policy level intervention has to be pushed from the regulatory structure, saying no to any kind of campaigns on the product label. They cannot use quality and safety marks at all. And that has to be left to the regulator. When something goes wrong, let them pull up the business.
Good.
This is something we want you to take it up and then, push it through your forums. That's all it is from my side. We will also send you a note. We have absolutely no issues. We can send a representation, but all of us are, at least some of us, are very passionate about safeguarding this common man's interest and consumer health. There are public health issues at the end of the day, which nobody is paying attention to.
Mr. Vishwanath, I'll agree with Rama ma'am. I'm Sunil and I strongly believe the certification logos being used on products, clinics getting NABH accredited without basic system in place. And if you do surveillance audits in terms of on independent way, there is no system there at all. And there are accredited hospitals, accredited clinics, certification logos being used on the products, and it's a total misuse and abuse of the whole system. So in fact, I feel little out of place when I see a client getting certified whom I rejected in a place called X. It was a medicines manufacturing, and 5 days later somebody else certified it. It's a mockery happening. It's a business happening, B2B, B2C, consultant to certification body to accreditation body. I don't know, there has to be a evolution there.
No, happy to work with you all in this area and happy to take this forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vishwanath.
Yeah, shukran.
Any other questions?
It's pleasure to have you here.
There are no other questions, I guess. Then we can move on to the next session. Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you for your time and thank you for
Thank you. We must thank you.
Thank you. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
So another interesting topic is lined up with Harpreet Singh, who is our regular interacting professional on our group. So he's the CEO of the UKC Global Certification. He's mechanical engineer by his profession, working as a consultant since last more than 2 decades, 2.5 decades. Based in Faridabad, working around the New Delhi area. He's a consultant and a trainer for the API Q1 also, and he's enlightening his views on one of the interesting topic, which is the extension of what Mr. Vishwanath was speaking. What drives the business to the choose a fraud certificate? So with this, Mr. Harpit, it's your floor now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just allow me to share the presentation, please.
Yeah, sure, sure.
I think I'm unable to,
I hope you are able to.
I'm not able to share the presentation. Shall I open it again? Just give me 1 second. I'll be very quick.
Is the share button enabled at your?
Yeah, share button is enabled, but it is not showing the presentation. It should be here.
Maybe bring that presentation on your desktop.
I already shared the presentation with Rama. Ma'am,
Or you can share with me. I will.
Sir, नीचे green button है. There's a green button at the bottom. It
तो
says
share
share.
share मैंने किया है, but that is not showing.
You have to select the window or
You have
desktop.
to select that file and then say share.
Not able to see that file also, sir. In this share button. Rama, can you please, Mr. Rama, can you please share the screen, share the presentation?
Did you send it to me?
Yeah, I had sent you mail.
Just a second. Mail or WhatsApp?
Mail.
Mail, is it? Just give me
Oh,
2
yeah.
minutes. I'll open it. No issues.
I'm just looking at the.
I'm just checking. Give me 1 minute. I'll just open. Maybe I was actually back to back. I was working on this today's session. Some point I've not checked the mails. Received. When did you send it? I've not received it actually. To which ID? Is it my my office
I
ID?
have just replied you on the link which you had sent.
Yeah, that is association ID only.
Right.
But I have not received it.
Just check your spam, and probably it might not go.
Maybe, yeah, that is what. Maybe I think it is not come. No, actually, what I'll suggest is you can. I'll help you with this. It's just nothing difficult. Just give me.
Just share it, but it is
Yeah,
all.
no. Just down. Can you come down at the bottom of the screen? Can you see that green
I
color?
put the button share, but it is
Yeah.
not showing.
So when you share it, okay, can you just say WhatsApp it to me or something like that? I'll open it right away.
I'm just sending you again.
Yeah, maybe just please send it. Yeah, I'll just open my mail also. Both I'll do.
It is, I'm sending you on the
Contact ID.
contact ID, right?
Yeah. Association is contact ID is association. Not received yet.
Tell me again.
Oh, so sorry. I'm very, very sorry. Yeah. Actually, my sincere apologies. Yes. It's here. It's come from right. Just give me 1 second. You sent it actually around 2:30 or so. I'm just opening it. I'm just opening it now. Very, very so because it has come from a different display screen. I didn't realize it is yours. Just
No,
I'm
no.
I'm opening. 1 second. Just give me 1 second.
No problem.
My system is hanging. I'm using an external monitor here. Is the screen visible? No.
No.
Yeah.
You got?
No. Just give me just. Actually, I am using an external monitor. I think that is why it's not showing or some issue here.
There is some issue because earlier it was showing.
No. That is what there is actually. It's not. No, it should open. It shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, this one. Just give me 1 sec. I'm just trying to figure out. Yeah, is it
Yes.
right? Clear now, visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Let me do a full screen.
Just come on the first page. That's the only thing.
Just make it full screen.
Is this okay?
No, it is gone.
It's gone.
Sorry?
It is gone.
I guess this is the first slide, right?
No,
Oh, there
your
are some
screen
more.
has gone.
Sharing
Your
stopped,
screen.
ma'am. Sharing stopped.
Right?
No.
You can't see the screen?
No.
There's something to do with my
Mr. Harpit, send it to me
external.
on my
That's why I
WhatsApp.
don't want names. Just give
Send
me
it on my WhatsApp.
Just give me your email ID. I'll share it to
No,
you right now.
I'll WhatsApp it right away, actually. Very sorry. Please give us just 2 minutes time. If I had seen this earlier, I would have actually resolved this issue. Lastly, I'm messaging it to you. Okay.
Okay.
You got?
Yeah, I just check this, please.
It is not showing in my screen. No, it is not showing also.
No, that is what there is some.
Okay, I have received it. I'll try to open it.
And
Is
now
this
it is gone.
visible now? It's visible
It
now.
is
I'll
visible
continue.
now.
It's continue. So can I continue?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Start from slide 1. No problem.
And I'm in slide
Make
1.
it to the slideshow.
And that's what I'm doing this the moment. See, it's moving automatically.
Just come on the sheet 1. That's it. No problem. We
No,
can.
I'm doing it, but it's just moving on its own.
Oh.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's why.
I'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll
you
do
please do that.
Yeah.
There is something which is not good.
Hope the screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah, it is clear now. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, apologies, please.
Okay. Shall we start?
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
Okay. So the topic is the why businesses choose fraud ISO certification. It's a difficult topic. थोड़ा सा Swaz, first of all, thank you very much for introducing me. Thank you very much. Okay, it's moving automatically, Swaz. Yeah, you can go just hold it. Yeah. So what are fraud certificates? Okay.
There is a timer, I guess. That is the reason. In
Yeah.
the slide. There is a timer. That is the reason why it is. The same thing happened. Just 1 second. We'll just.
I did not put any timer.
Slide is moving because must be under some timer or something.
Shall I send you again?
No, I will stop the timer. I will try to stop the timer.
Because there's a timer on. That is why. And the mouse. Let me stop it.
I really don't know. How does it goes? चलो anyways, आप लोग हमारी जिंदगी में. Okay, let me.
I'll do the manual slide. Okay.
No problem. No problem. In the meanwhile, I
Instead
will
of
start.
slideshow.
The topic of the day is what is fraud certificates? Why businesses are choosing the fraud certificates? So fraud certificate is altogether a different term. Many people understand. In our consultant consortium group also, we are discussing many times what is a fraud certificate, how does it comes, how does what we call as a fraud certificate. Sometimes the scope is totally different defined in the fraud certificates. Sometimes it happens many of the consultants are posting some copy of the certificate and asking that whether it is okay or not. So it happens many a times in our consultant consortium group also. Am I right, Rama? We had a long discussions on this. Majority of time on Sundays we are discussing, and many chats are going up and down that what is a fraud certificate, if it is IAF approved, if it is not IAF approved, and so many of other things. So
I think there is some issue in the presentation because system is getting overload.
Oh. So I can get it.
Okay, you are able to see it, no?
Yeah, I am able to see. No problem. Just come down. So just come down. This is what I had already spoken about. As per the IAF, International Accreditation Forum, a fraudulent certificate according to the international is one that is not issued by a certification body accredited by an IAF member or that falsely claims to be an accredited certificate. This include counterfeit certificates, those issued without proper accreditation, and those that falsely represent a non-accredited certificate as accredited. This is a definition of a fraud certificate by International Accreditation Forum, IAF. Can you please calm down, sir? Although the fraud certificate in the layman language is what business understand is the certificate without IAF logo is considered as fraud certificate. But again, that is not the truth. Calm down, sir. There are many CBs in India issuing certificate without IAF logo, but with accreditation logo only. So are they fraud? No, they are not fraud certificates. So means it's very difficult to understand, what is fraud and what is not a fraud certificate. A fraud certificate is a certificate which is being issued by, through some, using some Canva or some Photoshop of a certification body without telling them that this is, they are not aware about this, that they issued this certificate. So we call that itself is a fraud certificate. Coming to next, sir. But why business choose frauds or ISO certificates? So next, because it is very easy to get. They don't have to work for that. Sometimes it is very urgent for them. but and they don't have to make any documents related to those fraud certificates. So they make it, and then they got the fraud certificate. Sometimes customer is not having any knowledge about this. They are not aware of whether this certificate is a fraud certificate or whether this certificate is a okay certificate. So they anonymously they take the certificate. The fraud certificates, why business chooses? Because they are very cost saving. If a certificate is being issued by Intertech or some other certification bodies, that will cost them more. So when the cost is very less, they go for a fraud certificate. Fraud certificate is just a call away. Just call and you will get the certificates. While in getting an actual certification, you have to go for audits, you have to go for so many of other things. So that's why people they don't want to go for a actual certificate. Business persons know that I am buying a fraud certificate, but still why they would need a certificate? Do you understand? Next is because they are majority of business in India don't want to go for an actual certificate. They want a certificate because it is their customer requirements. If their customer does not demand, they will not go for a certification also. But because of the customer requirements, they just go for a certificate, which is they can find it online. They just whosoever is available, they will buy from that certificate. Sometimes the business owners buy a ISO certificate just for the brand reputation. They really don't bother. Just abhi, somebody is giving an example of a mosquito repellent company. So they just want a certificate just to create the brand reputation. That hardly matter for them. So they buy a certificate to create the brand reputation. Next is they buy the certificate because of the tender requirements. They don't want a certificate, but in government tenders, the tender company is required that if you want to have a tender, if you want to bid for the tender, you need to have an ISO certificate. So that's the reason they buy a fraud certificates. These are some of the reasons why business choose fraud ISO certificates. So we need to work on those reasons. But if we all make sure, we Consultant Consortium of India, and we all certification bodies, accreditation bodies, we all make sure not to sell the ISO, not to use the word ISO. We can make a remarkable change in the consultancy and certification industry. Let's start today, as tomorrow never comes. Thank you very much. A small presentation from my side. My name is Harpreet Singh. This is on the last slide. My name is Harpreet Singh, and I'm from UQC Global Certification, Faridabad. Thank you very much. Thanks to us for moderating. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I have one comment before we conclude. There is a fraud or fullness chain that is being established across the marketplace. Everybody down the line feels he can make the fool of his client. The certification body feels they can make a fool of their certified organization. Certified organization feels that they can make a fool of their client. Client feels that they can make a fool of their client. So somewhere that foolishness needs to be broken away.
Yeah, it needs to be stopped.
That is where the things can
goes on.
Yeah. So thanks, Mr. Harpreet Singh. It is short and sweet and to the point. Yeah. Any questions?
Yes, I just want to ask one question actually.
Right, please.
Harpreet ji, I'm just wondering, looking at your presentation, fundamental question: who is issuing these fraud certificates? Actually, is anybody issuing at all, or are they self-printed? All of us are assuming that these fraud certificates are being issued. Are they being issued, or are they actually kind of self-printed at the businesses by themselves? Anyhow,
both. Both, I should say. Because I know many of my industrialist friends who says, yeah, nobody's coming for the audit. I'll just make it on the Canva and change the date and make it like that.
It's called photoshopping. It requires just a photoshopping, right?
Photoshopping, because their customer is not going to ask anywhere. So So in actual, the fraud certificate is only those certificate which is being issued on the name of the certification bodies without telling them. But if the organization is being audited, then it is not a fraud certificate. If it is being certification is being given by any of the certification body without any logo or with IEF logo or without IEF logo. So I'm not going deep into the logo part, but if it is being auditing only once and the certificate is issued by the auditor or by the auditing agencies, it is a okay certificate. I should use that.
Another
Rama ma'am, rupees 100. You come to Delhi side, North Delhi, South Delhi, Faridabad, Gurgaon, 100 rupees. You have a good colored printer. Print on a letterhead and give a calibration certificate and give a what you call this, the so-called fake and fraud ISO certificate.
Dear Sunil,
So-
I just make a correction in the word. Don't use the word North India. It is the Pan India.
Yeah, okay, Pan India.
It is Pan
I
India.
stand corrected. Pan
Yeah.
India, maybe the level of fakeness is little more
It
on
is
the.
everywhere same. It is everywhere same.
it's
So
a
then,
question of
you-
pricing. Okay, maybe something goes from here, from the other parts of the country. Maybe it has a little more premium. That's all it is. That's
I would
just
say, ma'am, I would say only one comment. The client is one who is responsible. Because if the client wants it for the sake of it, then everybody is ready to give it. Okay.
the question is very simple.
And all is in hand in hand.
Yeah.
Certification body, accreditation
It is,
body,
it is.
everybody, consultant, because everybody wants certificate to be hang on the wall and put as a tender and clap their hands.
Primary responsibility to offer this assurance is a business responsibility,
Yeah.
actually, before any licensed regulator or third party. So my question is very simple. Why do we need third party certifications if a business can self-certify and declare that, my products are in conformance? Why do you need a third parties? Anyhow, you're adding layers and layers and layers of costing for every layer, and then that's how the prices are being shot up. Now, why is not your own second party audits? A buyer should come and audit your practices, and if they're happy, the second party audits are still there. Why do we need a third party when this trust is totally broken?
Independent, objective examination of the implemented management system, third party.
Yeah.
Hence, they need a certificate. And if the second party is coming into picture again, the client is auditing a supplier so that the supplier can give him good services and good product. End of the day, the buck stops at the company. The company itself wants a certificate hang till death.
There are some
I have here good point. I have one point here to mention. If you go to the origin of the ISO MS standards, the answer to your question you will find.
Absolutely
The
right.
reason for going for ISO MS standard is to avoid the multiple assessment of the organization by the different client. So that's where the third party came into the picture and the thing started.
Absolutely.
So rupees
Europe,
10,000 ISO
yes.
certificate is got for 3 years. So yeah, this is the level of certification we are talking about. Okay.
Not only that, in case of
Rupees
European
50,000,
industries,
you get a lab accredited. This is the cost of accreditation in India.
सर जो आप बोल रहे हैं ना यूरोप है इन केस ऑफ यूरोप they are allowing self certification as per the CE requirements. In case you are having some machines,
yes,
you are saying that it's self certified, they allow it.
Absolutely.
But in our country, in many of the country, not why should you use bad words about my country? In all the world, I should say, it is happening.
This debate is endless. So let's close on a good note.
No doubt.
There are 5% good people like us and many others who make the
Absolutely.
difference and create the difference. Let's stick to it and drive the journey.
There are
Absolutely.
questions in the chat box also. Suhasji, let's see some questions. We will ask the speakers. We have
Yes, yes.
Dr. George and Dr. Anna. See, because all of us are here because we're all looking at some responsible practices at the end of the day, how we all can contribute. Maybe just please look at the questions.
There is a question on who audits the self-certification.
No one can audit the self-certifications. It is the company who will take the responsibilities that yes, we assure that we are issuing this certificate on their letterhead, on their, whatsoever it's kind of a notary kind of a things. There is no one who will issue the, self-certifications.
Any other questions, participant?
Great. I think we can sum up this whole session, Suhas, or
Yeah,
you can say sum up the sessions.
yeah. There is one good question from Sanal Maniyal. IF has listed around 100 plus ABs and categorized in the same basket. How an end user gets to know the performance of the and the maturing level of the each ABs? Maybe anyone, any of the speakers, they can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can. I'll respond to that. I'm Anil Johri, sitting in Italy.
yeah, Anil.
Uh, See, IAF has no system of ranking the ABs. So, as far as IAF is concerned, if you are an MLA signatory, you are an MLA signatory. But there is a German agency which is doing ranking of ABs, ranking of standards bodies, and ranking of metrology institutes.
Oh, wow,
And it has done. And in that ranking, fortunately, Indian accreditation system ranks 5th in the world. So that gives some kind of level of excellence as far as ABs are concerned on certain parameters. Our overall ranking, it ranks national quality infrastructure. I think our overall ranking was 10th, but accreditation was 5th, and metrology and standards were lower than. So therefore, the ranking is 10th. That's the only right now, as I know, the only place where you can see some ranking of ABs.
Acha, this just recalls me. Is there any possibility or viability of the CB ranking also?
Once upon a time in Quality Council of India, early days when I joined in 2006, we did do, I think QCI did a ranking of CBs. NABCB refused to be part of that because it would not be fair on part of NABCB to rank its own accredited CBs. But QCI independently did rank. And I still remember Bureau Veritas figured as number one every time that this ranking was done on whatever parameters. But then it was discontinued, becomes controversial for QCI to do a ranking while it is also an accreditation body. It has to be independent. Should be done independently, which is a better thing to do.
We'll
You have
ask.
to choose the
Again,
parameters, and you have to do the ranking. Depends on the choice of parameters on which you rank. So there are a whole lot of issues around ranking. It's not easy.
no, but again, okay, QCI it is difficult, but the accreditation body it is easier because they have the assessment report with them. Instead
I
of
don't know
doing the ranking,
whether I
no,
don't know whether it's
instead
I
of
don't know
doing
whether
the
it's
ranking,
advisable.
just a minute, just instead of doing the ranking, we can assign the star, 1 star, 2 star, 3.5 star, four
That is the
star.
same thing. That's the same thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have no hard views on it. I'm not sure whether it's fair for ABs, which are accrediting in
Yes.
a binary accreditation system, to also start ranking the CBs. I'm not sure.
We'll ask Dr. George, any such practices do you suggest, recommend, or it's happening in US?
Yes, let me explain you about that. The accreditation system is designed to verify minimum compliance to specific requirements. So each accreditation certificate means pass this criteria or not. It is not designed to provide ranking. I personally been involved in other systems in my experience in accreditation level that they included ranking, but then the whole questionnaires and the whole system is designed to evaluate different levels. So at this moment, accreditation with the evidence they have and the system they work is not in position to provide ranking. Ranking requires redesign of the system or design of a different system. It could be done by accreditation bodies or by another entity, but with a different methodology. That's what I want to say. Our methodology for the accreditation of conformity assessment bodies to 17,000 series of standards does not permit to proceed in ranking.
How
Thank you.
about Dr. Anna? Dr. Anna, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Does your ISQA system recommend or suggest or is open to you all as accreditation bodies to rank your caps
No, there was
or
no
other certified, I mean, accredited?
there was no discussion, but in fact,
Ah,
there was a discussion on when we council comes to know that there is an agency,
hmm,
agency has actually rated the hospitals, rated the
hmm,
hospital, the top and all these things,
hmm,
and then quoted some references. The council was concerned that whether such type of rankings are really worth
hmm,
or reliable,
hmm,
looking at this type of. So I think at the moment, ISQA is not in discussion for ranking hospitals or accreditation bodies accredited by them. Not at the moment. What we are discussing is how we can make the accreditation process more robust under ISQA, and also to prevent misuse of ISQA accreditation mark. Claiming that you are accredited for standard, but you claim accreditation for the organization.
hmm,
And so we are trying to discuss that why not bring AAA? AAA means accreditation of standard, accreditation of organization, and accreditation of the assessor training programs. All three programs which they run, they should be done. And if that is there, that accreditation body can be called as a mature accreditation body.
hmm.
Something like that is discussed, but not the grading and rating of any ABs and its accredited clients.
So they evaluate the business maturity, right? Your competency maturity.
Not at the moment. No, this is
Hmm.
discussion that
Okay,
because
right.
there were some misuse of, like, I got our standard accredited,
Hmm,
right, which is the preliminary requirement to get organization accredited.
hmm,
But when I got this standard accredited, I say ISQA accredited without saying ISQA accredited standards, not the organization.
hmm,
So to prevent those things, we brought out stringent rules in case it is found, action can be taken against that AB. And then to differentiate between the newer bodies and the matured body, we say that why not for matured, you all three programs you should subscribe for accreditation, training, assessor training, organization, and standard as well. So that is what AAA, to give
Still the
more
market
maturity.
is
Yeah.
still the market is not aware that accredited organization or an accredited standard. ISQA, you have that structure, right? It is never, as you rightly said, just ISQA accredited. It's an open statement. But
Yes.
whether ISQA has accredited the organization or the standard,
And that's why even the logos defined saying SQA, EEA, and then accredited organization, accredited training, accredited standard and organization.
yeah, that is
The
how
three
it
are
is.
actually mentioned along with the SQA logo.
We also want to know a couple of questions. If there are no questions, just a couple of questions. We wanted to know what is wrong in issuing an unaccredited a certificate by the same AB or a CB. My question is very simple. Is this actually are the apex bodies saying no? Because ISO standard has a structure. It says something. I don't know what the ISQA says also. So first of all, is it wrong to issue a unaccredited certificate by an accredited CB or an AB, maybe for a different standard? First of all, whether it is wrong, what is wrong with it is this one discussion I would like to have. And maybe, yes, if the councils, your apex body structures do not permit it, how do you, this is tracking is not happening. So how do you, because the end user or the user of it is not aware, end user is not aware. One excuse we always get from the certificate issuers is client asks for it. All we need is a simple label on the certificate, unaccredited, issued as per the client request. That solves all the problems. So why don't we have it? There's nothing wrong, I personally feel. If the structure doesn't define it, if the structure says no, yes, then it is not allowed.
So, somebody going to answer or shall I?
Dr. Rana also. I think you're muted, Dr. Rana. You're muted.
I'm sorry.
We'll ask one by one all the speakers.
I would rather look for that my accreditation mark is not misused rather than how it is used. Because if I make sure that yes, my hospital standards are accredited, my home care standards are accredited, so on the certificate I very clearly put that logo that yes, these standards are accredited by ISQA. Okay, on other standards we do not put that mark. For organization we put for everyone because that's the entire organization. But it was seen that like you say, ISCO accredited. People don't say what it is accredited for. And that's why it's called for misuse. Same thing for the laboratories, testing lab. We say you can use our accreditation mark, but you should not use. You can only use it for the accredited tests. And if there are tests which are not accredited, you have to clearly tell that these are not covered under accreditation.
That has not worked at all. The system has not worked even till date. So the question is very simple on the claim, on the certificate itself or the report itself, you mention unaccredited, issued as per the client request. So let us see when the clients will say tomorrow. We did
we
not.
as an accreditation body cannot do it. It has to be done by the laboratory because we give
I
accreditation
know.
to certain tests.
Right.
So we are given. Now, as a lab, you can claim accreditation only for these tests for which you got accreditation. If there are other tests which you have not got accreditation, you should either issue a separate report saying not accredited, or if it is your mixing, you clearly say these are not accredited. That is what. And I think for that we have to do a lot of checks. I think that's the way.
Harpreet ji, how about you? And then we'll ask Dr. George. Your view?
Okay.
Should the certificate have a label, unaccredited, issued as per the client request?
It hardly matter. First of all, it hardly matter. Only part is if you issue the certificate and if it is the automotive industries, then automotive industry is having a requirement as per IATF that all the ISO need to be IAF approved, then it matters. Simple. If it is hampering the business of the customer, means manufacturer or whosoever handling industry, then it matters. Otherwise, it hardly matters. Thank you.
Dr. George?
Yeah, I could say that at this moment there is no homogeneous approach in the IAF level, in IAF programs. It is not allowed to issue non-accredited certificates if you are accredited for a program. Okay. In ILAC, which is mainly laboratories, okay, it is. So we have in laboratories they issuing certificates and they don't use accreditation logo or things like it without being something wrong about that. So depends on the approach of the let's say either IAF or ILAC. We have one case that it is allowed, one case it's not allowed, and it is what it is. Now, as you know, ILAC and IAF are merging, and there is a new organization in the next few years that it will be probably called GLOBAC, and it will be this merge of those two organizations. So we are expecting to have a more homogeneous approach. This is the situation right now. It's not 100% clear. On the other hand, the accreditation bodies, there are many accreditation bodies all over the world that they have programs that they are not under IAF and ILAC umbrella. IAF and ILAC just cover only specific standards. But for example, in the United States, in PGLA, we have around 15 programs. Not all of them are under IAF and ILAC because IAF and ILAC don't provide coverage for all the programs. So in this case, yes, we still accredit conformity assessment bodies, but they cannot use IAF and ILAC logo, but they can use PGLA logo only. So it's different combinations. We have to be careful, and it is the responsibility of the accreditation body to inform their clients what are the limits of usage of logos, when they can use IAF logo or ILAC logo in combination with the accreditation logo, and when they cannot do it. So I cannot give you one only answer. We have different cases, and it is our business to safeguard the market, not to create confusion and not to send the wrong messages.
Very recently, because you're very right, because very recently also often we come across cases, there was a request for a medical tourism standard as an ISO standard for medical tourism. Request came from somebody to tell us who is offering this program. First point of check is IAF, as you rightly said, except for few management system standards schemes, very few standards are under the accreditation structure. So all the standards are not covered, but there is a industry requirement or a buyer requirement. So you do not have accredited CBs for this particular scope. So businesses need a certification. What do they do actually? Who will issue? Their question is whether it is who are the accredited certification bodies who are providing this is the request that came to me. I did not find out any accredited CBs. then who? So what happens with CBs? CBs may pick it up and do it, but then it becomes an unaccredited certificate. It's a business requirement. I was seeing the comment by Mr. Anil Jowri, where he mentioned that accredited certification bodies cannot issue unaccredited certificates. I think I saw in the chat box, they cannot issue unaccredited certificates. So if if that is the specification, what will the businesses do if they need a, a certification for a standard? And somewhere again, Mr. Ranil Javri has mentioned that IAF permits certification bodies to issue a certification for guidance documents. I saw these two statements in that. So I was just wondering again, they are conflicting in nature. One says an accredited CB cannot issue, but at the same time, if it's a guidance document, they can issue. That is what I understood from his message in the chat box. Is this correct? Is Mr. Anil Jori there?
No, I think he has left.
Oh, he's left, is it? This is one this thing. So this is also a confusing statement. Maybe we may have to seek his clarification.
As I mentioned, if you allow
Please.
me, this is
Yeah,
George
please,
speaking
please,
again.
Dr. George. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
IF has issued specific guidance documents, decisions, not guidance. It is a rule for the IF programs, which covers management system, personnel certification, and product certification that the conformity assessment bodies, they have to issue accredited certificates if they are accredited for this scope. So there's no exclusion. In ILAC, though, it's not this case. That's what I said before.
Okay.
So for laboratories and inspection bodies, we don't have this specific requirement. So there is more degree of freedom there. So what Anil said is correct. Anil is mainly working on the IF part of conformity assessment.
Right.
And I would like again to remind IF is management system certification, product certification, and personnel certification. So for those three categories, okay, this applies. So what Anil said is correct. For the ILAC part, which is the labs and inspection, we have different, we don't have these rules, okay? So there is an option over there. I know big clients in the United States that they issue certificates that they are accredited and don't use the accreditation logo. So they are accredited. So if you ask them, if their clients ask them to give the accreditation scope, you will see that they are accredited for their own reasons. They use this type of certificates without accreditation logo on it.
Oh, okay.
But we cannot, as accreditation body, we cannot prohibit that because ILAC did not issue the same rule like IF. Okay, so that's the situation. So don't have confusion. Check if the program is under ILAC. If it's under ILAC, it is more flexibility. You can issue both type of certificates. If it's under IF, you cannot do it for the scope you are accredited. Be careful, because you can be a certification body that you are not accredited for a specific scope. Then in this case, you can issue only non-accredited certificate. You can do that, okay? But you are not accredited then. So whatever IF and ILAC say will be only for the scope, under the scope of accreditation. If you are certifying programs that they are outside of your accreditation, it is definitely you cannot use accreditation logo. It is more than obvious, I guess.
So what stops them to create another search registry for unaccredited certificates? If the IAF system allows it, you have a search registry for accredited certificates now. IAF
No.
search.
I mean, even one certification body, they are not ready to apply for accreditation for all the scopes. Okay,
right,
so
right.
and they develop their competence slowly. So they say, okay, we're going to start with food sector. We are very good in food, but we are not so good in nuclear industry. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to be accredited to issue certificates under the food sector. And then they can use accreditation. They have to use accreditation logo on that certificates. But if they start issuing certificates in nuclear industry, again, I'm giving you something extreme. It can be
Right.
any other metal industry or whatever.
Okay.
They cannot use accreditation logo because they are not accredited, but still they start issuing certificate, and the moment they believe that they are ready for
Right.
accreditation, they will apply for scope expansion,
Right.
and then also that industry will be covered. So this is a legitimate way of issuing non-accredited certificates.
Right.
So you are in the process to achieve accreditation, but you did not achieve it yet.
Right.
So on that sectors, you issue non-accredited certificate because you are non-accredited.
Right.
The moment you will become accredited, you will, so you don't have to have a different certification body, different registry, okay?
Agree.
The same certification body. The question is that if you are accredited in a scope, if you can issue accredited or non-accredited. That was the big, over there under IF program, it's not allowed. If you are accredited, your scope is accredited, then you have to issue accredited certificate.
Absolutely, but unaccredited also, IAF says you don't use the logo alone, right? Now,
Of course, you cannot. If you are
right,
unaccredited, you cannot use accreditation logo.
absolutely. So my question is, you have an IAF registry, cert registry, where accredited, I mean, all the ABs are listed, accredited CBs are listed, and then, for which standards the scope is also listed. Similar way, the same registry should also list out unaccredited
Those unaccredited,
programs.
they don't report to IF.
They don't
We
report.
don't.
The reason here is at least it helps us to understand how whether the CVs are doing 1x of accredited scope. I mean, issuing certificates under accreditation scope and 3x with unaccredited scope. The intent is to understand in which direction it is going. So when somebody is doing a 3x and a 4x, why don't they bring it under an accreditation? So there has to be a transparency. Industry doesn't know. Industry doesn't know what is your accreditation.
Okay, that's why you are doing those nice seminars like today.
Yes.
So you are educating the industry and you are educating
Absolutely.
the market.
Yes.
So of course the market does not know, and even worse, the end users, the consumers don't know.
Yes.
So it is the responsibility of all the interested parties, including you as consultants,
Yes.
to update them. And also from our part, the accreditation bodies, we also have we are organizing conferences, seminars, and so on that they are free to the public, and they can participate to be educated. So everybody is doing something, okay? And today,
Agree.
that's why we spend our time and we be with you to also
True. Very
educate
true.
the industry.
What we are seeing is just one last question. Of late, especially after COVID, when the IAF registry portal came
Hello,
up
hello.
at the double speed,
Yeah,
at the um,
yeah.
at the double speed, we are finding certification bodies with their portals. So their certification bodies have their portals, and they are saying you go and check the certificates issued by us in our portal. So they are trying to create an impression that this is the search portal, but this is not the real search portal. The real search portal is elsewhere. And because industry doesn't know, as I said, consumers don't check at all this. At least industry is trying to check. No procurement agency is also checking all this. So who is checking the websites and the registries of the certification bodies? The accreditation bodies have to check, right? This is what we are asking for, at least whether the scope you have accredited or the scope they, at least when you visit their portals, because every CB has setting up a portal now. When you visit their portal, you will also tend to check what are the claims that are made in this. But I do not know whether your assessment process covers all this, but these are all the surveillance systems that have to be in place, because we are receiving all this as consultants as the queries, and we are trying to figure out how do we address all this. So it's not just one conversation today. We may have to take it forward. Their pain points are plenty. The trust deficit is so huge, and we need to break this, improve the credibility. Then we have a long way to go. It's decades of wrong practices we can't undo overnight. So this is what we're trying to say. We'll have to keep inviting you all for some future sessions. At the end of the day, these are only knowledge sessions. We will keep inviting you, and seeking your inputs also on all this, whether even some policy level interventions are needed at countries level. It's a global trade at the end of the day. One country cannot make a policy decision on its own without consulting everybody. So this is what the whole thing is all about. So anyhow, thank you so much, Dr. George, for that lucid explanation.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, and we've
Thank
come
you.
to the fag end of the session. So I don't see any other questions in the chat box. So we have come to the final session of the June month series. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers and all the participants. And the session is made live. And in fact, the session also will be sent to all the stakeholders from our association. And there are many people who are registering it, but watching this, the recorded sessions at their own comfort. And so we will be sending all this to everybody. Conversations like this are needed to make the users understand that, the challenges are plenty, but the solutions also can be arrived when some consensus and some conversations happen. At the moment, quality and safety tags have lost their trust and credibility at the marketplace, and the damage, so much damage is done, and we all have to correct it. So the next series from us will be in the month of October during the World Standards Day, and then in the month of November. In between, our conversations will continue. So would like to thank all of you for joining us today and participating in all these knowledge sessions. One thing I would like to place on record here that all of us are stakeholders. Each one of us is a consumer at the end of the day when we consume a product or a service. And we keep talking about following quality standards, following service standards. So if we really have to improve the standards, and we are living in an era where everything is a minimum standard. And nobody wants to go beyond a minimum standard. Nobody is interested in moving towards an excellence. Okay. So this is something this needs to be changed. And this was not the case 3 decades ago. 30 years ago, way the quality was looked at and the kind of an intent that the business community had and what we see today is totally different. And I don't blame a particular stakeholder. All of us are responsible for following standards. And how do we improve it? At least today, suddenly after 3 decades, we are finding more focus on quality, more conversations, more discussions are happening about quality and safety. But again, these are being done only in the regulatory forums. Outside the regulatory forums, none of us are talking. So we need to change this equation. We have to create more conversations and like a legal specialist said, send us a representation. So policy related interventions are also needed. All of us should share our thoughts and perspectives and contribute. So we will keep updating you all about our upcoming sessions. And in future, those of you who have registered for all this, you keep getting our regular information updates about various standards, certifications, programs, and initiatives that are happening in the country. So keep watching our website, CCC's website for regular updates, and keep watching out for announcements on the new programs. We will invite all the stakeholders like AB, CBs, if they really wanted to do some knowledge initiative, small teaser programs, 30 minutes, 40 minutes also. We will facilitate that. And at least, right communication, right message go to all stakeholders. So with this, please permit us to wind up the session. Thank you so much. All of you will get the session recordings, all the recordings and speakers' presentations with the permission of the speakers. We will collect it from them and we will share it with you all, because I've seen some of you requesting for speakers PPTs. With their approval and permission, we will share the same. Thank you so much. Thank you once again.